So we are super excited to show you the Elie Coast 120XE, which was sent to us by none other than Elie Kayaks. So thank you very much for sending it to us. Let's get started.
Hey YouTube, this is KayakDIY from KayakDIY.com and YouTube.com/KayakDIY, as well as Facebook.com/KayakDIY, and our group, Facebook.com/groups/KayakDIY. Wonder how fast I could say that. Anyway, I thought I would stop by here and give you guys a quick peek at our Elie Coast 120XE that we just got. So Elie Kayaks, they ended up sending us this beautiful rig here, and we're gonna rig it. So you have a front hatch on the Elie Coast 120XE. In there you will find my PFD. When I say PFD, I mean life jacket, life preserver, whatever you want to call it. I use the NRS Ninja. That's just my personal preference. They have not paid me or given this to me. There is no reason why I need to say that other than the fact that I just happened to try that one on and I felt it fit me well. What I liked about it is it actually has a kind of separated pocket here, and it works perfect for holding my fish grips. Here is the storage inside the hull. Okay, there's the locking mechanisms that you can engage. We'll just set this aside here. So far I have not had any water enter that, so it has had a good seal. You got adjustable foot pegs here, you got drains, and then there are drains also underneath the seat. You can't see them, but they are there. So you shouldn't have a wet butt ever, really. If water comes over, it should drain. You also have a little hatch here that has a bag. And I found that these types of hatches here that have threads, they also work pretty well at keeping water out. So there's a bag in there. Right now I just have some fishing line and random stuff in there. Because yes, I have already been testing it out. Because what I recommend everyone do when they get a new kayak is get it out on the water before you start rigging. So there's kind of a look at it. Let's take a look and see what we have in here to rig. This is not how I usually store things. I did it actually just for screen content. There we go. I think it's empty. And this is kind of what I'm going to work from to rig up this kayak. We're going to install the Rail Blaza rod holder. We're going to install it right here because I found after paddling that that was the best place for me to have it placed. So this here is the mounting plate. The mounting plate can be used in a bunch of different ways. You can actually have it mounted just like this, or you can use this as a backing plate, which is recommended for rod holders because you want to be able to support the actual stress on the hull. So we're going to have this on the inside. We're going to have this on the top side, on the deck side. This might sound a little bit intimidating, but take a deep breath because you got to do it. Right here, I'm using this as kind of a template for a guide so I know about the positioning. It also lets me know where the mount would best fit flat. No going back now. Okay. So there we have it. That's about the thickness that was left there. I can then take my knife if I want and clean up the edges a little bit. what that does is it now lets us recess this mount. So by recessing the mount, we can then put the backing plate in. So the backing plate is going to actually go in through the front hatch. We're going to open up the front hatch. We're going to get it on the back side of this, and then we'll be able to put in the hardware that's supplied by Railblaza. I'm going to probably have it about like that because I want to have the lock and unlock be easily accessible from my seated position. Okay, so I'm using a 15/64 bit. And that way, the 6mm bolt will just thread right in, but it will be a tight fit. So before doing that though, I like to coat the actual holes with a waterproof silicone. So then we're going to end up putting the backing plate on. Backing plate's going to go in through the hatch. What I had to do is I used a socket set and a Phillips head on the top here on these screws, and then the socket set went on the bolts that were inside here. So there you can kind of see the mount.
Now we're going to install the Railblaza visibility kit.
Okay, on the stern of the Coast 120XE, we're going to be placing a Railblaza visibility kit. So if we had access to the inside of the hull, which we don't have very good access right now, I mean, we could use the hatch that's right there behind the seat. But since this mount isn't going to be holding any stress except for camera and lighting, they actually say that you can use just the self-tapping screws that they provide. If we were putting a rod holder, or if we were going to be using the mount as a rod holder as well, then we would want to be able to accommodate for that stress. So we would want the backing plate on the inside, which you guys would have seen on our other rod holder, which is on the front of the kayak. So we're just going to be using the self-tapping screws, line it up the best I can, and then I'll be drilling a hole. I'll be drilling a hole using a 5/32 bit, so 5x32. I like to do this just because it adds an extra layer of protection. I'm going to snug this up by hand, not using a drill, because if you use a drill, then you run risk of stripping out the actual area you're grabbing onto with the thread, or with the thread of the screws. Okay, that's on there rigid. It's not going anywhere. I can then mount the light.
The Railblaza visibility kit is now installed. Now let's install some flush mount rod holders.
So right there you can already see I have a gasket from one of the rod holders on the kayak. These are flush mount rod holders. They're angled, so they're going to sit in like that. And what I like about these ones is they have a little attachment point for a leash. So I already marked out my holes right now that I need to be drilling. Okay, so now we ended up cutting out the hole, and you know, it's okay if it's a little bit rough around the edges because you have a pretty generous amount of seal that's going to be going on there. The gasket will cover up a lot, and then we're also going to be adding a little bit of silicone just to make sure that I have the kind of lining up correct. I'm going to slide this just on for the time being. Pull that out. Just make sure that we're getting in the center there of all of them. Okay, we're going to take our drill. We're going to take the small screw first. We're going to screw it and snug it in, not overly tight. You don't want to strip out the area. Then you take your backing plate that they provide, and it has a split in it, so you just kind of put it in there that way. And you're going to get it so that it lines up on the holes. They're kind of pulled in. So there, we got them all lined up. Okay, then take our screw, cinch it down, do the other side. Right. It's holding down tight there. And you can also tighten these up by hand. I like to get it kind of where it's a little bit snug. And then I do some last minute tightening by hand. There we go.
He's having fun playing around here. It's great footage. I I'd much rather be doing this than fishing.
Got an osprey nest. Looks like they're feeding some fish to youngins.
Despite not having luck catching fish, the birds didn't seem to have a problem. Oh well, there's always tomorrow. Big thanks to Elie Kayaks for sending me the Coast 120 XE, and to all my other sponsors who helped make this possible, and for letting me have so much fun.